Boker Tov, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon, Raleigh, North Carolina. Little later morning Torah. All right, the Torah portion this week is Bishalach. It's Shabbat Shirah. This is the Torah portion in the book of Exodus when our people is finally going to make it through the Sea of Reeds, Kriyat Yam Suf, and make its way into the Sinai Desert and kind of finally leave. And in the famous story, Pharaoh lets us go finally, but then changes his mind, and with his chariots and stuff, sadly, he gets drowns in the sea. Okay, I want to talk here though of a specific idea, because in this Torah portion is a famous rabbinic story, a midrash, which talks about Joseph's bones. So just a little bit of background. Joseph was the vice president of Egypt, or second highest powerful person in Egypt, before the enslavement occurred. And, I'm not going to go back in that story. You can read that in the end of the book of Genesis. But he rises up to be the second most powerful person in Egypt. And his last request, when he dies, he tells his brothers, don't bury me here permanently. Now you have to, but don't permanently. Take me, when you eventually leave here and go to the land of Israel, take me with you. Take my remains with you. So, as that comes, why it was relevant to this Torah portion, because we're finally leaving. And according to the Midrash, all of the Bnei Israel, we all left, but only Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses decides, hey, wait, my people made a commitment to take Joseph with us. And so he goes, according to this beautiful story of Serach bat Asher, a wise older woman who remembers and tells Moshe where Joseph's buried in the Nile River. And this beautiful moment, you can Google it up. It's a great story where Moshe makes some prayers like, where are you, Yosef? Where are you? I'm looking for you. We're leaving. We need to hurry. And Joseph's bones come up from the Nile, and Moshe takes it, and our people carries Joseph's bones all the way to the promised land. We carry them with us. Now, I want to talk for a second here about the connection between Joseph and Moses, all right, in terms of this idea. Why is it Joseph doesn't want to be buried in Egypt? He was the second most powerful person in Egypt. He fit in. He saved our people. The Pharaoh he worked under gives our people a place of refuge in Goshen. And he has, you'd imagine, a lot of allegiance to Egypt. And he'd be comfortable in Egypt. And he made it, By the way, it's very comparable to Moses. Moses, in his life, the story, he makes it too. Even though he has to escape persecution and genocide, he becomes essentially an adopted son of Pharaoh. He made it also. Moses and Joseph share this interesting story of coming from, Hebrew background, but fitting into Egyptian society. But both of them realized, as Hebrews, that there were some fundamental flaws in Egyptian society. Let's talk about Joseph first. Joseph himself saw Egypt, there's many ways we could talk about it, because Egypt is complicated. But again, he succeeded in Egypt. He was put second in power. He rose up in a place he was once in a jail, a dungeon. He makes it up to be one of the most important people, protected people. He saves Egyptian society. He takes on Egyptian names. He marries Egyptian family. He has a lot of Egyptian cultural connection. Why wouldn't he want to go, stay there and be buried there? I mean, look, there are plenty of Jews throughout history who get buried in various lands. I mean, it's not unheard of. He might have great allegiance to Egypt, you'd think. One of, his secrets is in the beginning of our Exodus story, where it says there was a new Pharaoh who did not know Joseph. So Joseph was under a Pharaoh who was kind to him, or the Jewish people in general, Hebrew people. But then there wasn't. What he saw, in my view, is he saw the capriciousness of society where you have one leader given power to either grant kindness to a minority group or, sadly, to take it away. So he understood that even though under his time he had this protection, and we did, under one Pharaoh, he realized a society that allowed that to continue could change in a moment. In fact, a lot of Joseph's life stories about things changing in moments that seem to radically different. So Joseph was not trusting, even though he was well protected, he made it, he did not have confidence that our people would make Egyptian society. Look at Moses the same way. Moses made it up, down the river, daughter of Pharaoh, raised in Pharaoh's palace. He could have been a successor. But he sees his people being oppressed. He sees slavery happening, and he can't stand by. He decides that he has to stand up because the society he sees, even though he's personally protected, it's rotten at its core. He's not only upset at Pharaoh, which is true. They're both upset at Pharaoh. But they're both seeing a society or ordinary Egyptians, either out of fear, which is legit, or because they agree with it, are being quiet while horrible things are happening around them, either on a leadership level or on a societal level, where a community, my ancestors, are being oppressed, and ordinary Egyptians are being silent, some of them at least. So what do Moses and Joseph, why is it Moses decides to take Joseph's bones? Because Moses understands that Joseph does not want to be buried in a society that not only would not fully accept his people, right? You've accepted him, not his people, but a society that would allow that to take place, oppression, genocide. In that kind of society, Joseph wants no part, not even his remains. Certainly, neither does Moses, and neither do our people. Let's bring it home. Right now, even here in the Triangle, there have been these disgusting, ridiculous, very upsetting anti-Semitic events that have happened here locally. The Nazi flag, there was an attack at UNC campus, and then you have someone like this woman, this congresswoman out of Atlanta, Green, who is trafficking in this QAnon conspiracy junk that is, if it wasn't so disgusting and upsetting, it'd be laughable. It is laughable. It's so ridiculous. But she's peddling in anti-Semitic things that are people following, and there are people in our society who will not reject them. The issue here is not simply about the ones who peddle it, like Green, or even the heads of the Republican Party who some, not all, but some, refuse to refute it, which is also a problem. It's the silence of ordinary Americans who refuse to reject it as well. It's that silence, okay, not all, of course, but sounds of some, that makes not only my community, but true any community that's not part of the powers feel not at home, feel this is not our place. Now, I don't believe that's true. I still believe in the American dream. And our country is rooted on the idea, on paper, that this is a place that's home for all, truly for all, that accept the ideals of an American society, as Martin Luther King has taught us, where everyone is truly given life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Everyone, not based on skin color, religion, ethnic group, etc., etc. But the key is the ordinary Americans, just like the ordinary Egyptians. We don't want to do like Joseph and Moshe and take our bones and just run off. We want to say, this is our place. We can say that. What we're looking for is for others to say that. Regular, ordinary people. That's what disappointed Joseph and Moshe perhaps the most, why they felt they had to flee. Even Joseph with his bones. So too in America. We're looking at you, regular Americans. This is your chance to say, we want a society that is not rotten to its core, but calls out those who are rotten and makes sure, ensures, that the society is one that can flourish and be truly a home for all, and not turn into sadly, the tragedy and the desecration of what was Egypt. Tov, wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom, a safe, peaceful Shabbat. Time to celebrate freedom, celebrate equality, and remember, it's upon all of us to stand up and speak out against what even appears crazy. That's the only way that we're sure that we're not Egypt, but this land continues to be on the course to being the promised land. Okay, Shabbat Shalom.